It's Cadasaling on Sporting Icons.
Okay, so the head of the British Boxing Board of Control, Robert Smith, has asked the other foreign sanctioning bodies, governatory bodies, however, to not license Conor Benn until they've completed their investigations. Now, as we know, the WBC, they cleared Conor Benn of potentially knowingly taking something that he shouldn't have and have cleared him. They put it down to an overindulgence of eggs. Now, I know Conor Benn has done a recent interview with Piers Morgan. I don't know if that's a good idea. Obviously, I haven't seen that one yet. I don't think it's been uploaded yet, but he's pretty much brought it out into the open public now, rather than just a boxing fraternity. So that's a lot more eyes judging. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Anyway, so Robert Smith has said this about the other commissions. This is what he had to say. Obviously, their major commissions are aware of what's going on with the Benn case. We don't have any power to decide licenses elsewhere, i.e. outside the UK, but we can give advice where we have. Which at this stage is very little because we haven't received any documentation from Benn's representatives. Ultimately, these other commissions have to do their own investigations, and if it's their decision whether or not to license Benn. The biggest problem with this sport is there's no world governing body. We all look after ourselves, which is a great shame. However, big organisations, and I would like to claim we are one of the big organisations, along with the state commissions in Nevada, California, New Jersey and New York, tend to do the same thing. So that is Robert Smith's statement. Now, firstly, for Robert Smith to say the biggest problem with the sport is that there's no world governing body. Now, firstly, he is correct with that one. I think everybody echoes that. Why isn't there a world governing body? What's anybody doing about it? How do you start one up, And with the British Boxing Board of Control, other commissions and the bodies such as the WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF, etc., would they all adhere to one umbrella? You wouldn't have thought so, because obviously for that kind of thing to happen, you have to get pretty much everyone to vote or a majority vote on a world governing body. But anyway, that is what it is. Now, for Robert Smith to ask the other commissions outside the United Kingdom to potentially hold back on licensing Conor Benn, has he done this before? Have other fighters who have failed tests been asked to not be licensed abroad? Has Robert Smith ever done that before? If he has, okay, cool. If he hasn't, I don't know. He seems to be taking this a little bit too personal when it comes to Conor Benn. Now, I understand what he's saying. If you're a drug cheat and you get caught, just because you get de-licensed, if you like, or stopped from fighting in one country, that should mean that you should not be fighting in any other country. And I think most people can agree with that. But are they going to do that? Would he be licensed in Australia? Would he be licensed in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, United States of America, Germany? Somebody somewhere will license him. Now, for him to put out an appeal to say pretty much don't license him until we've conducted our investigation. Now, it seems like the British Boxing Board of Control are either A, determined to slap him with a ban, they want to make an example of him or however, or B, I suspect that they're doing it's all smokescreens. When they know that they're going to clear him, because at the end of the day, if the WBC have conducted their investigation and have found Conor Benn to potentially have eaten too many eggs and that's contributed to his failed test, then they're not going to go against that. Or very unlikely to, right? Because they work with the WBC. For example, Charlie Giles, chairman of the British Boxing Board of Control, is also on the committee for the WBC, correct? Is he still on the committee? So they actually work together. They're not going to try and cause any kind of conflict. They're not going to slap Conor Benn with a ban, because then it undermines what the WBC have done. People look at the WBC and go, hang on a minute, but you cleared him. Now, Conor Benn, he's insinuated that it was the laboratory, whatever, who done the test, potentially tampering with it. Like there's something or someone out there to get him. That he didn't actually fail a test, that there was something wrong in the lab. Now, if that's true, that deserves major investigation. Now, of course, some people will have already made a judgment on him. No matter what it is that he puts out there, he's guilty and whatever else. it just seems bizarre that Robert Smith would ask other commissions to not sanction him. Because to my knowledge, I've never seen him do that before. Now, of course, we've had situations where the British Boxing Board of Control, as in they have licensed fighters who have failed in one commission, yet they have allowed to fight on UK soil and things like that. So I don't really know if he's got too much of a leg to stand on. I say leg to stand on. It's not like he's insisting that they don't license him. He's just requesting that they don't. But with Conor Benn threatening to sue the British Boxing Board of Control for a reported £3.5 million, I see that as a scare tactic. I see that as Conor Benn threatening them to do that in the hope that the British Boxing Board of Control back down and go, okay, then here's your licence. Because the board, I don't think that they can afford to take such a hit of £3.5 million. I don't care what insurances they've got or whatever. That's a huge, huge hit to take, isn't it? But anyway, I have to wait and see. Personally, I don't think the British Boxing Board of Control will do anything anyway. I don't think that they're going to ban him. I don't think they're going to go through the investigation and then ban him, especially while they've got a potential lawsuit aimed at them for £3.5 million. They'd probably back down and go away quietly. So anyway, we'll have to wait and see whether other commissions, will they license Benn. I suppose it depends on the relationships that the British Boxing Board of Control has with certain countries. Do they have a good relationship where they can speak in the ear of those over in Saudi or Dubai or Australia or wherever? I don't know. And if they are speaking in the ear of any of these commissions, then is that right or is that wrong for them to do that? I said, have they done it before? Or are they just out to get Conor Benn? I suppose in time we'll find out. I don't see this going anywhere. I don't see it going anywhere. I think that all of this whole situation will soon be forgotten about. Conor Benn will have a fight or two, and before you know it, people will stop talking about it and people will just move on. Okay, that's how it's going to be, honestly. And at the end of the day, if Conor Benn does go through with suing the British Boxing Board of Control, that's going to put Eddie Hearn in a real uncomfortable position. Which is why I think that he's pretty much insinuating to Conor Benn or suggesting to Conor Benn to just forget it all and just get on with your boxing career. He doesn't want any kind of problems on his own shows. Listen, he stood by Conor Benn and he said some things about the board, but is Eddie Hearn going to stand up and go, yep, I'm standing with Conor Benn against the British Boxing Board of Control on this, Conor Benn's right to sue them, blah, 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 knowing that they could remove Eddie Hearn's licence? Is Eddie Hearn going to start up a new governing body? Join BBBO or something like that? Unlikely, but anyway, my thoughts. You drop me yours, click thumbs up, subscribe, catch you next video.